The reason of we having we had Better Tomorrow 2, the sequel, is very romantic thought. Actually, after we finished Better Tomorrow 1, it was like the journey they have gone through, and we suddenly feel very relieved that the project was finished. And I don't know were you aware or not that there was a decision, not very final, but it was very quite a traumatic decision in the company in Cinema City to burn the film, because the film was a bit over budget in the middle of the production, and the people in the hierarchy in Cinema City didn't really think that the movie would have any potential of doing well in the business at all. That's why that maybe the middle of the production they thought that maybe just burn it up and that's it. There would be not wasting any more money on the rest of the production. So this is like the kind of very hellish experience where, especially John Woo was like kind of in the very deep into depression that period of time, and so we've gone through that stage, and we're so very relieved. Oh, okay, did we finish Better Tomorrow? And there's a very good response from the audience, and since then we are better promised with like a good perspective in prospect in our career and things like that. So suddenly everybody said, let's do a sequel to that. Especially investors. Like the investor above Cinema City. That period of time, because we do have something going on in the company, and Better Tomorrow became suddenly a kind of a sun ray coming from a thunderstorm or something like that. So this sun ray turned into like a promise for a good weather from now on. And then there's something happening inside the Cinema City hierarchy. Dean Check left the company to America because there's a thing going on. The board of directors in the Cinema City, so he left. And so like we realized that actually the company, the Cinema City, was in the stage of being split up. These three directors of the board were in conflict, were arguing to each other. So I said to John, I said, we got to do something, in this this situation. Let's get Dean Check back to Hong Kong. Let's convince him back to Hong Kong. But then, how would we do something like this? Let's, now because people are talking about doing a sequel to Better Tomorrow 2, let's think of a story of Dean Check. Maybe that would create some, like a new arrangement, may change the atmosphere of the company a bit. And so that's how Better Tomorrow 2. Circulating around the topic of saving a character from a predicament, and it's more like we was writing pretty much on Dean Check's situation. We have the script, we have the story, we have the money, and all we need to do is to get Dean Check back to Hong Kong. We were drunk or something in one of these restaurants for several times, calling Dean Check on long distance, telling him to come back because we have a movie to make with him. There was like, then suddenly one night we were having dinner again, getting drunk again, and he eventually say okay to come back. So we checked him out at his house and talked to Mrs. Sack about what time he left the home for the airport and like to check the schedule of the plane. So wait for him at the airport in Hong Kong, a different exit, because we thought that maybe he was after he got back to Hong Kong, after his foot landed on Hong Kong's soil, he might have changed his decision. So we try to try to sort of like trap him up at different exits. So we have mobile phone thing calling them. We are the exit 2. We are waiting for Din Shek. You seen Din Shek and exit 1, thing like that. So eventually we got him, out of one of these exits, and we got him to the restaurant. And was that night. It was very late. I think it's 10:30 after the plane landed, and he got off the airport or something like that. And then we went to the restaurant. It's like the restaurant physically, literally was closed. And then everything is very dark, and only with this one table there. We're sitting there and say, Din Shek, don't leave us. Let's do a movie together. And Cinema City is still, you are still very important in Cinema City. And that's how that movie was made. When he was in Shaw's Brother, I've seen him in other movies. I think he's a very good drama actor. You need to be a very good drama actor to be a comedian. And I don't know how a comedian cannot switch back to drama performance. We were trying to sort of like explore into the possibility and checking out how much possible that a person can extend his skill in different area. We knew that like for Hark or other comedian can never get to the drama acting at all, because they are very still stylized as a comedian. But for Din Shek, I think he's got to a very strange kind of position in the industry that maybe we thought that we can change, or maybe can open up a new area for him that he can play around with in his career or something like that. That's how we tried Better Tomorrow 2. Actually, it's pretty much a character like the Kurosawa's movie Ran. He's playing the king. And that's how we told him that, actually it's a character that we inspired from Leo. The casting for Better Tomorrow was a bit strange, because we didn't really cast according to the market. We cast according to our favors. I've been fan of Dik Long and Chow Yun-fat for years. So when they come up with this Better Tomorrow's story, I said, maybe we should cast Dik Long. This is our fan, our idol, and Chow Yun-fat do the characters. They're the best choice that we have come up with in our thinking. So what happened is actually then we cast them, and Dik Long, because when I was in like teens, and I always thought that Dik Long should be more than what he has been, for his career. And that's why when we came up to this Better Tomorrow, we thought that maybe Dik Long should play the brother, and Chow Yun-fat should play his friend, and that's the best choice that we can come up with. So what happened is that when we chose Dik Long, he also in the same time cast for another movie. Also is one of the project in Cinema City. It's called The Story of Wisely, I think. And in that movie, he needs to have long hair. So the big problem is that he can play in 2 movies, but the hair cannot play in the 2 movies. You need to have one type of hair. So we went to talk to this director, producer, Teddy Robin. We asked him if he can compromise a bit to have hair in the middle length, so we can play around with it. So when he is in the jail, in the prison, we put a cap on him. But after he got out of prison, he cannot have long hair. He cannot have a cap after he out of prison. So he should have hair like. So we sort of talk about the length of the hair to compromise for the boat project. Ted Robin was a very, very persistent director. He insists that the hair cannot be cut. The hair is like very long, cannot be cut. So we sort of like decide to find another person to play the role, because that was pretty sad for us, because firstly we chose Chow Yun-fat because we thought Chow Yun-fat should be the best person to play, Mark. Getting through all the problems that we faced, everybody is saying that Chow Yun-fat, is may not help in this movie, and also that blah blah blah. We got through all that, and so Chow Yun-fat didn't have schedule for us because he was doing some other movie. So then we run into the problem. If you want to shoot in a certain schedule, then you have to do it without Chow Yun-fat. So that's the part that we suffer. And then this Dick Long again, we also suffer. So we said, too bad that these people that we try to use on the screen, that we cannot do it. So what happens is Dick Long called us up. He said, we talked to Ted Robin. He fixed the problem. He decided to cut the hair, the middle length, and do the blah 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 things. He tried to fix the problem by arrange all these hair problem. So we got him back, and we got him back. But we have another person we need to come back. Get him back too. We didn't really have that much of a chance, because it was pretty heavily scheduled for other things. And so one day suddenly Chow Yun-fat called too, said because of the schedule of some project was delayed, I have more time, maybe I can play your movie. And that's how both of them got into this Better Tomorrow. I'm very instinctive person. For Chow Yun-fat, I think he has this charisma as a person on the screen. So it was not something that you look for an element for why he is a great performer. With him on the screen, you feel like you feel comfortable and confident with this person to do things, to play a story, a character, a story for you. And he has a very sensitive face. His face tell you a story of something of his own. It's not something that it is not. Sometimes, for example, you have Chow Yun-fat on the screen, and you realize that it have to be a very interesting story, because with him on the screen, it means something. I remember when we first used him in Better Tomorrow 1. The investor always said, the movie with Chow Yun-fat played in. Didn't really make any money at all before. The record was not good. But because as you look back to what he got into the movie industry in the early stage, actually they are trying to make movie with a genre that imitating some previous material. So it was like it's a very unfair situation to use a good actor to play what happened, what already done before, and Chow Yun-fat had been very out of place in all these movies, and when we went back to see what happened on television, he was still a very stunning performer. So that's why when we have Better Tomorrow, the very direct person we thought of was Chow Yun-fat. No other actors. So when Chow Yun-fat said he didn't have the time to do the movie, we were sort of like suddenly we were caught hanging in the air for a period of time, but we have to face the fact that we didn't have Chow Yun-fat. And then Chow Yun-fat said he had time for us, and then we got back to this uplifting mood again. We go into make a movie with him. Actually, I was in one of these projects for Chow Yun-fat earlier than Better Tomorrow. That was called Headhunter, I think. And it was a kind of weird project because the investor is a very good friend of mine, and he one day called me up and said there's one movie he invest on and didn't get finished, and want to finish the movie by doing something with it, by rewriting a script and trying to get a new director or things like that. So that's how I got into this Headhunter part to to work with Chow Yun-fat. And I remember I was on the set few days, directing and talking to him and things like that. And then I realized that he was such a fantastic performer that actually as a director we need to think of something good for him. So when Better Tomorrow came, the direct person we thought of as Chow Yun-fat. I was so much on the verge of thinking maybe we can get away from Hong Kong or something like that. So we came up to the idea, so let's shoot in New York, because I stayed in New York for a period of time. I thought New York quite interesting, and New York exactly is the place where Martin Scorsese shot Mean Street, and it's a place where we thought that we could play the material of the Hong Kong film noir. This kind of background that we need, and then that's why we said let's shoot in New York as a background, and also that I think the character will feel more comfortable because it's very associated very close to Hong Kong things, so that's why we decided to use New York instead of Los Angeles, and also because we knew some people there, and that's why we said we line up the people there in New York to do it. We also with that period of time we thought of Canada too, but New York to us is like a place we need to go, and so that's how we decide location. Of that period of time, we even have movie for so many years. The pre-1997 government never give the license to the pyrotechnic in Hong Kong to do the technical things. I remember one time that we tried to hire a person from Hollywood to do the pyrotechnic, and there's no arrangement in Hong Kong to set up the things that for these sort of things. So I think the industry survived through finding different ways to do this sort of effect. But I'm here to emphasize that I think people have been not very fair to the Hong Kong industrial filmmakers, because the people here are also very concerned about safety. It's not because of they not concerned. Only that sometimes they don't have the kind of condition or the kind of allowance for them to be as safe as other place. To be safe as other place, because sometimes they don't have the right person to help them out, so they have to take care of everything. But they know the limitation of that kind of things. Like car stunt, they've been very good car stunt in Hong Kong. But do they have that expensive equipment, that sort of thing? Don't have. Like for wire work, they may not have the kind of machine they have to do a lot of very the high fall from 100 floors. They wouldn't do that, but then they have the wire work to do like action stuff. So that sort of things they survive through finding their own way. We have been friends for so long, and as friends we always talk very frankly and very directly. It's something like time or maybe a situation change, and I don't know, maybe it's because of that we're not aware of actually what happened around us changed too. So between us, we were still very frank and direct, and of course coming from the pressure or maybe the direction or the interest of the career pursuit, maybe person will change after one stage to another. But I think Better Tomorrow one is one of the experience that I think we didn't have that much tension, because the tension, it doesn't come up between us, and it's tension between the business and us, our career. It's so like I was not expecting too much out of my career of in the industry. He was pretty much in the depression, and he was trying to do a sort of like a keeping his career in certain position that he can go on making movies. So that's what the way I thought of that period, the kind of mentality we have in that period of time. And okay, we pull through, just better tomorrow one, good, nice. So how were we gonna go on the second stage? So I told him that, John, I said, this is the one of the experience we had, and I think you can start your company. He asked me to be his partner in the board. I said, okay, let's do that. But then, as it was like the time went on, the second, when we tried to do something for Din Check and Better Tomorrow too and everything, and it was like, I think everybody, for both of us, we have diverted our direction in our movie interest, and also at the same time, we have different kind of tension for ourselves. Like for me, I think I have to go into directing. I might have directing career, and also him doing these Better Tomorrow things. And we didn't try to work on Better Tomorrow. We tried to work on two other projects called Once a Thief and the Killer. And especially One of the Thief was one of the fun project we had right after the Better Tomorrow, and because of Din Check, we went back to shoot the sequel to Better Tomorrow. We didn't decide whether they should be alive or death, but according to the kind of the wound they have, they can barely live, I think. They got shot so many bullets, and also they got cut by so much wounds. At that point, we didn't really think of we didn't really think of going on with to do any sequel or anything like that. We just tried to finish the story, and we moved on from that part to another project, to another stage.